When you think about gentle parenting, it actually isn't just for the children. Gentle parenting is primarily a support system for the parent to learn the skills of emotional regulation. Hi, my name is Becky Jennings, and this is the Response-Able Parenting Podcast. I give you the transformational tools to stop reacting to your children in the moment and start responding with intention. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Response-Able Parenting. My name is Becky Jennings, and today we are talking about this meme that's going around that I have seen over and over and over again that says, gentle parenting is for gentle kids. I've got gangsters. Or I'm so sorry, gentle parenting is for gentle kids. And then the image or the video behind it is their kid launching themselves from one couch to the next, or you see them on a bike and they crash into something and they just look like feral beasts running around. And then, the parent's like, well, gentle parenting is just for gentle kids. And I'd like to compassionately confront that and talk about how gentle parenting is not just for gentle kids. Gentle parenting is for all kids and for all adults. Because when you think about gentle parenting, it actually isn't just for the children. Gentle parenting is primarily a support system for the parent to learn the skills of emotional regulation. Gentle parenting is a toolbox for the parents to understand their own reactivity, to understand what triggers them, to understand what basic needs for the parents aren't being met so that they can operate with maturity, emotional regulation, and they can show up without using tactics like aggression, fear, control, manipulation, coercion, so that we can remove threats and bribes, so that we as parents stop throwing adult temper tantrums. Gentle parenting is a whole construct set in place for us as parents to go back and heal wounds from our childhood. Maybe you weren't parented in a way that felt gentle or kind. And so that's the way that you were modeled to show up as a parent. And that is now how you are parenting. You're parenting from that lens, which is no fault of your own. That's what you were taught. And that's what has ingrained in your subconscious mind as this is how parenting looks. And so you operate from that place. And so when we say that gentle parenting is simply for gentle kids, what that does is it gives you an excuse to not do the work on yourself, quite frankly. And it also sets the child up for failure because you're expecting the child to be the mature one. You're expecting the child who doesn't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex, which is their reasoning center. You're expecting the child to grow into a healthy, mature adult without being taught, modeled, or given the skills on how to regulate their emotions. So in these videos that I'm seeing over and over again, these kids are just being kids. My kids are as feral as they come. And I still operate with gentle parenting. I would argue that the children who are the most vocal, who are the biggest attention seekers, who are doing really big things might need gentle parenting the most. They need to be seen. They need to be witnessed. They need to be understood. They need to know that the feelings they feel are real and valid and true to them. They also need to learn how to safely work through these feelings without impacting and hurting and endangering the people around them. So gentle parenting, I would argue, is for those gangsters that you're showing on Instagram and on TikTok. It's very challenging and confronting to know that from your place as a parent, you have to do even more work, right? That that wasn't done for you, and that can be triggering. We also didn't have the science and the awareness that we do now today about brain development and emotional development that we now know. We had no clue. And if you go back and you talk to your parents, they'll go, I had no idea about emotional regulation. Those words were never thrown around. Gentle parenting, that wasn't even a construct. It was just parenting. How often were you just out in the streets, out in the backyard, in the fields, in the woods, doing God knows what until it got dark and you went back home and you ate dinner and then you went to bed? That's how I grew up. I was in the era of you walked to school, you took the school bus, you got home, maybe your parents were there, maybe they weren't. You would go play in the woods with your friends. You'd come back when it was dinner time. That's that was just parenting. Now there has been so much research and and awareness of the emotional needs, attachment science, about emotional regulation, how all of this stuff dramatically impacts your wholeness, your awareness, your sense of self as a child, as you're growing into adulthood. My parents were fantastic parents, still are fantastic parents. I couldn't point to an abuse. I couldn't point to neglect. I can't point to any of those things. And I can still say that I grew up with having no idea who I was as a person. And I struggled for a really long time with disordered eating and people pleasing and looking for external validation and not knowing how to move through my own feelings safely to know what was going on inside of my body, whether it was true or real or accepted or not. And I came from a family without abuse, without traumas, like capital T traumas. And I can sit here saying that I know now that the gift we are giving this generation of parents who are adopting gentle style parenting, this is such an asset to give to children. For children to know themselves, to know what is safe and what is not safe, to know what is acceptable that is happening to their bodies or around them, whether that's safe or not. To be able to have a voice, to be able to feel heard and seen and validated, to know that anger is a perfectly acceptable emotion, but how to work through it safely, to know when they're going too over the top that it could hurt somebody. Teaching our children how to be quote unquote gentle is not the goal. The goal is to not raise children who are seen and not heard. That is not the goal of gentle parenting. Gentle parenting is the opportunity for us to go within, to heal wounds within our own selves, to strip off the lens of quote unquote, this is what parenting is, and start operating from a place where we are connecting with the humanness in the other person and we're allowing them to grow into their own unique individuals. And at the same time, we're giving them a safe place to learn all of this. And we're not adding an extra layer of all the stuff they're going to learn anyways in life, all the capital T and little t traumas that they are going to experience throughout their lives. We are not going to be adding that extra layer that then they'll go sit on the therapy couch and talk about when they're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. Granted, we are going to pile on some of our stuff to them for sure. But the goal of gentle parenting is for us to go through our stuff so that we're not putting our stuff on our children for another generation. It's not just for the gentle kids. It's not just for the kids. Gentle parenting is for us so that we can have the largest toolbox possible in order from which to parent, to give our children a safe space emotionally, physically, to grow up in, to become wholly themselves. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you at another episode. Until then, have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Response Able Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share the episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough. You are capable. You've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together.